Hi, we are in Unit 3. This is the fun one. This is where you get to be very creative about some of the stuff that you've been doing up to this point, this term. Um, it's harder for me to explain it than it is for me to just kind of go through the assignment sheet and then show you some examples. But the basic idea is that we live in a world that's it's not just written text, it's also visual, it's also things you hear, it's also how people move their hands. And so you get to take information, something you learned, something that you may be passionate about that came out of your discourse community project or your portrait of a place, and tell a new audience about that, right? In certain multimodal ways. Now, that doesn't make any sense. So let me go through the assignment, and this is going to be my whole screen, but there's a reason for that. I got things coming up, so let me share desktop. Show the whole doggone thing. All right, so here's let's get into the content here. And here's the multimodal project instructions, Unit 3. What you have to think about is find a new genre that you think will reach a specific audience. So, and here are one of your audiences: fourth graders, City Tech freshmen, New York City Council members, your grandparents or older relatives, activist groups of any kind. And so, for example, on this one with the skate park. So if I had a student write about skate parks, and she thought it would be good to propose to this New York City Council that there be more skate parks in the city. So she created I think she created a video that had people skating and some other information and stuff on it. So it's the kind of thing you would show at a city council meeting to New York City politicians. I'll show you some more examples of just in a minute. Well, that's what you'd be talking about. So her discourse community was the people at the skate park. She actually wrote the portrait of a place about another skate park, and she kind of compared it to the one that she frequents all the time, which was a pretty interesting project. And then she made this video for politicians for the city council to convince them to create more. Okay, so that's kind of how her term went. You don't have to do that. I don't know how many people actually went from discourse community to something that connects to their discourse community, but you can pick one or the other. Okay. I always have students in dental, and they've often done things like create brochures or infographics for the people at a dental office. I had a radiology tech student who created a brochure for people who've never had an MRI before. And it was directed at older people who had, MRI is not, it's scary, particularly if you tend to be a little claustrophobic. And so she created this brochure to let them know, these older people know what was coming up and what you had to do. So that's kind of how, people have been tying things together. So, but you've got to decide who your audience is, whether you're going to aim it at kids or your peers or older people, a politician. I had a wonderful project way back in not way back, but in the early days of COVID from an EMT, emergency tech. And she put together this great video, which is one of your choices. And it had photos from her on the job, her and her husband, they were both EMTs, and put to some great music. And it was really powerful. And what she wanted to do was to take that again to the city council to try and convince them to increase the wages for EMTs, because they're only like $13, $14 an hour, which is ridiculous, right? So you can do anything like that. So you figure out who your audience is, and we're going to read an article on Perusall about what multimodal is all about. Now, some of you may have done something like this in 1101, which is great. So you kind of know where we are. It's pretty simple. We live in a world that is not one thing, not all one thing. Even when we're scrolling, we're doom scrolling, we've got the pictures up on our blue sky. So you've got video as well as text, and then you're interacting with it. So it's what they call kinesthetic motion at the same time. So this article by Gagich will tell you a little bit more about what multimodal composing is all about and how to do it. Now, for this class, you don't have to have all of the modes because there's 5 or 6 of them. Just pick a couple, right? That's sufficient. In other words, it's not just an essay, all right? So it's to sort of make these things you've been writing about come alive. If you use pictures in your portrait, that was by definition a multimodal piece. Now take that and inform or persuade a different audience about something involved with that. Okay. So I'll show you some in just a second. PowerPoint is not a genre. It's not a genre. It's what we call a medium. It's a way to get information to people. So no PowerPoints, right? Just fixing with the PowerPoints. Okay. This link in here will take you to some examples on the CityTech site. This was done by one of my students. And it was, the student had written about NASA and outer space and stuff. This was different. It was a different assignment. But what he wanted to do was to say, well, let's get kids interested in it, right? So he created this wonderful little set of posters that could be bound up in a booklet about going to Mars, right? Curiosity took a selfie, all right? So fun stuff. Absolutely, you know, there's really good stuff. This was for fourth graders, right? So that's that one back here. Some of these get pretty, sorry about that. Canva is something you're going to need to know about. And then I can't remember what this one is. This was not my student. Oh, this was actually this was my student. This student did a cartoon, what we would call a cartoon or a graphic, right? So this was about, you know, life during COVID quarantine. Really good stuff. And so we had this series that would make a really good comic about it. And he was an artist, right? So this was all him doing this, right? So, and there's some pictures up. It's chameleon. So that's another one. So those are some that come from the school. Right. So that's sort of creating this project as part one of Unit 3. That second part of Unit 3, once you get it done, I want you to write. It's kind of things you've been putting up on Slack about how you got the projects done, but just a little bit longer. Just a one-page single space version of what we call a writer's statement or an artist statement, right? And here are the guidelines for that. You know, discuss the situation, why you chose that topic, what your audience was and why you chose it, why you chose that genre. And an infographic is a genre just like a horror film, right? So there are different genres that we work with. Why did you pick an infographic as opposed to, say, a comic or a video? And then talk about, you know, like you've been doing on the Slack messages you've been sending me, talk about the successes and the limitations and just kind of go through the whole process, right? So that's don't just hit the bullet points, just write me another story. Okay, so this is another personal essay, right? So think about all these things. This is what you'll be graded on. I'm not, for the projects, they're not graded on how brilliant the graphics are. All right, I've had people do line drawing brochures. He did stick figures, and it worked great because it was for kids, and it was a brochure about video games, and so he did all these little stick figures, and it was wonderful, right? It didn't have to be it doesn't have to be really fancy. It can be very basic as long as I can tell you cared about it, that you put some time into it. Okay, that's really what the project is graded on, and the appropriateness for that audience. So if you're doing something for fourth graders and you got all these long jargony words and you got a PowerPoint, which I'll give you an F for anyway, you know, that's not going to hit it. So that's not appropriate for that audience. So pay attention to that. You'll do that the first thing you'll do for this project, this unit. Okay, the length on this doesn't matter because, you know, again, a video is a video. I've had podcasts that were 5 minutes, which is another choice, and podcasts that were like half an hour, you know, so it was just dependent on what they were talking about. The half-hour one was really fascinating because the student gathered together people who were caregivers for members of their individual families, and they talked about the challenges, and it was absolutely amazing. She's taken it down, or I would play it for you, but I can't. So, and then the other one, the 5-minute one, was more of a personal essay about staying home and having to be homeschooled because they were really sick. So it, and it was just this one person's short podcast. So podcast is obviously a choice that you can make. And again, this is just another little essay. Explain it to me. Both are due on May the 7th, which is almost the end of the term. We'll have the last 2 weeks for revisions and a final reflection. So that's the assignment. So let me go back over here, excuse me, and show you the schedule for this unit. Okay, so there's, so this week read that assignment improves all. It's Melanie Gagage's thing about multimodality. And then on the Padlet, give us your ideas. Again, this is just not broken out, but give us your ideas about, so here's one already. This Stephanie's way ahead of the curve, right? So this is what, here's the instructions for what to leave. So put them up there, and then we'll leave, I just saw this, so I'll leave comments for you. One interesting thing about this is sometimes people are really good at making videos, and there may be somebody in the class who wants to make a video, but it's not, a little nervous about doing it. Volunteer to give them some tips, all right? And you can DM each other on Slack. That's what Slack has ended up being used for a lot in my previous classes. Students connecting on these projects, sharing information, sharing skills, sharing resources. All right, so that's what this is for. So that's that. We go back to the schedule. Padlet. So that's this week, just coming up with something. And then there's spring recess, so look at each other's ideas and leave suggestions, like I said. Let me know if you have questions. And then, you kind of get started on the writer's statement. Now, these are just rough drafts, right? You're just kind of thinking about what you're doing. You can't finish the writer's statement until you get finished with the project, because you won't know what the process went, how the process went. And so you can't go back and reflect on it until you're done with it. So on the 30th, on the end of the month, put your name up here and link us to some bit of information, schedule. If there's something you want us to take a look at, to give you feedback on, it's the same as doing the rough drafts in the Google Drive. Same idea, except it's on the Padlet. And then that week is just keep working, and then it's all due, both the project and the writer's statement are due in Brightspace on the 7th of May. Okay, so having said all that, let me show you some examples from my previous students, and this is why I did the whole window. Okay, this student this is an infographic. This student was I think of med tech or something like that. I can't remember what their field was, or this may have just been the mom who wanted to put this up, right? So this was an infographic for kids, obviously for 4th graders, things to do to stay well when it's cold in the winter. All right, nice little infographic. I'm going to show you Canva in a second, because that's what a lot of my students use. Unless you're good at things like, unless you're a ComD major and you know how to do this stuff in a different program, Canva is really simple. And once you get past the initial learning curve of moving things around, it's easy to make one of these things. So there's that one. This one was for college students. This would have been like a poster that could have been put up on the college. There's a day at City Tech, you guys probably know this, where the different departments and different activities, groups, kind of show what they do, right? So this would be a poster for that day, Professionalism Day. And so, so he did an architect, what it means to be an architect, right? Especially designed for freshmen, people coming in. It could also be used for 4th graders. I mean, it would work just fine for kids. he made it that way on purpose, and I gave him a hard time about it, but it turned out great. So, you know, it really worked because it was very, very basic about becoming an architect. There was that one. This one is a really interesting. Oops. This one is a comic about what it means to be, what Ramadan means, and, you know, being Muslim. So and I can't remember what program he used to do it, but he created this kind of wonderful little comic to explain and told a story about a flood and what people in the community did to come together to help people. And that's what it means to be, you know, a Muslim. Right. So this was really, everybody just kind of went crazy about this. It was really nice. So he took these comics and he added some word balloons to make it, you know, more approachable. Here's another infographic. This one is a series of, you know, understanding adult daycare centers, which she had envisioned as being a series of posters to put up on the wall, or could have been the kind of thing to create a little booklet, a little booklet, like not a brochure, but a pamphlet. So the graphics are so good and they're so big and it's so easy to read that we all kind of convinced her these would be great as a series of posters in the community center. For families, you know, coming into the center, to look at when they get there, like challenges older people face, you know. And she designed it to go to, you know, freshmen at City Tech. So it was interesting because it hit a bunch of different audiences all at the same time. But she could have set these up as brochures as well on college day, college information days, about people helping people. So there was that one too. This one, love this one. This is a brochure, like a threefold brochure. And it was about, you know, what to do when your back hurts, kind of stuff. So you can see how it would fold here and would turn into a brochure. And I told the student, I'm going to download this and use it for myself because this is my life right here, sitting in front of a computer, you know, stretches. So really, she was a dental hygienist. And so this made perfect sense for her to do this because, you know, she and everybody she worked with had back problems because of how the kind of work that they do. Let's see, what else have I got here? I've got, let's see, I think that's about all I got. This one. This was a poster to put up for college students about skincare for university students. It's very simple, but it's got a lot of, you know, some good information about, you know, what to do. The bottom line was don't neglect your skin because not for vanity reasons, but to protect your skin for things like skin cancer and stuff. So she was a medical professional. She was kind of into this stuff. And so this is a poster that she made. Now let me see if I can find the, oh, I know, hold on. I have a video. This is a student who made a Powtoon cartoon. I don't know if you can hear it or not.
Architecture student.
This is a different architecture student. So
here's some of the things that we're going to cover about architecture school. What to expect, time management, and presentation.
So it's a nice little 3-minute Powtoon video that she did with the free version. That's her voice, so it's her voiceover. So you can do that. And where is, I've had some other cartoons as well, and comics designed for kids. So you can sort of see the scope of things that people can choose to do. Let me be sure. Here's another one. This one came right out of the Portrait of a Place, Coney Island. All right, and this was directed at kids, and it's a threefold, really simple brochure. It could be given to kids' parents but it's very, it's very bright and it's very simple, very straightforward. And again, you can see where it would fold here and make this, three-fold fold up brochure. So that one was fun. And I think that's all I got here. So let me back some of these out and I'll show you Canva really quickly. Get them all down. A lot. These were all last fall. So you can see, and the podcasts were mostly at my summer classes for some reason. I don't know why. So I want to show you, let me show you Canva. Canva.com. I'll come back to this again next week because most of you probably won't be ready for this yet. But this is my account. You can get one for free. It doesn't charge you anything. The only time you get charged, I'll show you in a minute, is if you use a premium graphic. Excuse me. Springtime. All right, so this is Canva. Canva's fun. So if you wanted to make, like, say, a brochure, Canva templates. So no, I want to give me some brochure. Right, so here's one. Pretty simple, right? So if you expand, so design, and lots of templates. I don't like this one. I'm going to go back. Brochure. So here we are. Here's one. I think this is one of the ones a student used. So if you want to customize this, you can see how it's threefold. Customize, and you go in here and you can start doing anything you want. This is text. You can get rid of it. Control Z it. You can upload your own pictures. You can move things around, stuff around, and you can always just Control Z to go back if you mess it up. Now this will help you with different designs. You can do graphics. Let's do this one. Put it in here, and I'm going to swap it out for that one. Lead image. Oops, I should have done was delete. Okay, so we'll put it there, right? So you can move things around. It's really simple. You can do things like, you can turn it. You can rotate things. I'm always doing that. This, you can change fonts. Text, say I want to do that one instead. We'll change it. And say I want the color to be bright red, which is a terrible color. It'll do it for you. Okay, so you can add a text box, add a heading or subheadings. I tend to use subheadings and a little bit of text more than anything else. Forget that. Elements are things like you want a circle, you want different shapes and lines. It'll give you all kinds of lines. Now, here's the thing you have to watch out for when you're using Canva. Anything that's got this little crown that says Pro, they will charge you $1, or they'll try to charge you $1, or they won't give you anything. Right, so stay away from the things that are, here's graphics. So if you do this, okay, use this regular old line. You can use this, it's a regular line. Just stay away from, now I have a Canva Pro because I use it all the time. But just stay away from those crowns and you'll be just fine. Now I also have uploaded a ton of stuff, right? So you can upload, that's my daughter and my dog. There's my crazy cat. It's me and the dog in the park. It's making a mood board. Okay, so this is just, you can upload your own files. You can record yourself. This is all fairly new stuff. There are more tools. You can draw. They keep upgrading it. I don't have any projects up, but you can do projects. Right, so that's Canva. And again, I'll come back to it in another week. But if you want to go, if you've never done Canva, sign up for a free account and just go out there and grab something that you might want to play with, like a comic strip. Right. It'll give you comics, right? It'll give you the panels and everything, so you can choose that. That one's going to cost you, so don't choose that one. Again, find things that don't have a star on. That one's got a star. So this one would work. Customize it. Just get over there and play with it. All right, you can't break it. Honest to goodness, unless you save it under share, it's nothing's going to happen. Not going to share it. Nobody's going to see it. just get out, fool around with it and start moving things around. But that's Canva, which I love and is used in a lot of businesses use Canva. And so it's not a bad tool to learn how to use. Even people are doing who are not ComD or graphic design people will use Canva in the businesses. So, you know, give it a try. So I think that's it. Anything else I need to tell you guys? So this first Padlet, this is instructions for the writer's statement, which I'll get to next week. Here's the Padlet link for the, you know, what you want to do for the update. And then here's the assignment thing. And I appropriate is what you're going to be graded on again. Okay, so that's Unit 3. This is pretty much the rest of the term. Have a good time with this. Message me or, you know, email me. Let me know if you got questions or problems. Help each other out. Again, like I say, I have a lot of students use the DM function in Slack to talk to each other, to help each other, which is great. Go for it. You know, it's free. Use it. Might as well. So having said that, I'm going to log off and post this. And I can't wait to see what this is. Oh, Unit 2, they all just started coming in. I have a few graded, but I'm not going to put up the grades for any of the grades until everybody in the course. I've had a chance to look at everybody in that class, right? So that's the way it goes. Participation is over for Unit 2 as well as for Unit 1. So yeah, luck. But the things that are coming in are just wonderful. I've teared up a couple of times reading some of these portraits, and people have just had some, I think, amazing experiences writing them. Family connections, coming out of their comfort zone to do things like talk to people, which they really, you know, talk to random strangers, which they don't, you know, do anymore these days, don't do very much. So it's been lovely reading these. This has been one of my favorite sets of papers I think I've ever gotten. So go forth, be multimodal, pick something. If you want to convince people of something, if you want to do like the woman who did the EMT thing, if you want to do something like that that's persuasive, go for it. Doesn't have to just be informational, right? So anything. If you have a question, I'll kind of keep an eye on that Padlet really closely and give you some feedback as fast as I possibly can. So have fun, and I will post this, and I'll see you all later.